fracture and a torn ligament in his thumb. So here is Chris Haynes on an update on Joel Embiid.
As the series shift to Philadelphia with Miami up 2-0, the million-dollar question is, will we see Joel Embiid in Game 3?
I really don't know. He looked good as far as talking, but there's no. He's got so many steps to go through. I don't think he's cleared any of them right now. So we just have to wait and see.
I love Joel, but I do not think about Joel every single moment of my life. I'm just being honest with you, yeah. But we are all hopeful that he comes back and can play, and we want him to be healthy because we know how good we are with him.
It's clear the Sixers will have to do a lot more to make this series compelling. As for Joel Embiid, I had a text conversation with him. He said the sensitivity of the light of the phone was causing pain. Game 3 is Friday.
Now, here's an update on that situation. According to Woj, he's currently listed as out for Game 3, but there's still progress that could be made to change his availability versus the Heat on Friday. Again, with those multiple injuries, there's concussion protocol, right? There's the orbital fracture. He missed the first 2 games of this series, and the 76ers lost both of those by double figures. So, 3D, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you have an MVP finalist. With all that's on the table, we know the record. No team has ever come back from being down 3-0. There seems like there's desperation to do whatever it takes to get him back on the floor.
This may be the toughest decision for the Sixers today versus what they had to make in the beginning of what we call now the process. The process is arguably the MVP this year, Chris, right? Some people may think the Joker, most people think Embiid. But with those multiple injuries you're letting the fans at home learn about, the thumb, the concussion, now the eye, why would you take that chance? And now you're asking him to put a mask on? This is the NBA Finals. So the game is more physical, more intense, more elbows, more, bodies are flaring around. I don't know if I'm upstairs, I'm saying, wait a minute, we're not playing great basketball. James Harden's not James Harden. And for all you people keep asking, James Harden from Houston? Well, James Harden from Houston is still in Houston. This is the James Harden in Sixers. Stop asking for the James Harden in Brooklyn. That guy's gone. That was 4 or 5 years ago. So you got to live with the James Harden today. And that James Harden today is not the same. And now you're asking the MVP candidate who's banged up to play through all this. And knowing that he's getting a little old, it means that old. But my point is, you still have some good years left for Embiid. So figure out how you can put better pieces around him for the future versus maybe forcing him back to come back now because you're desperate and something else happens.
Quickly, for James Harden, 7 points per game in the second half of playoff games, shooting under 40% in the postseason. Is he still better than those numbers, though?
I think he is. James Harden, some way, somehow, have fun playing basketball game, get back to attack mode, get down here and figure out a way to get back to the free throw line.
Speaking of injuries, how about the Boston Celtics dealing with one with Jaylen Brown? He had 25 in the first half of Game 2, but struggled a bit in the second half. What's his status for Game 3? Floor seats is what they say about that.
Oh, floor seats? Yeah. I thought he slipped up.
This team was 9th in the Eastern Conference on January 29th. You see their pre-All-Star stats to their post-All-Star stats. How about this? The Celtics made more three-pointers than two-pointers in their first 2 games of this series. They hit a new playoff franchise record, 23s in Game 2. The other part of that, 3D, knowing how important it is to hit the 3 and defend the 3, the Bucks made just 3 threes in that Game 2. How is it that the Celtics were able to make so many threes but also defend the 3 so well?
I just think their chemistry is right where it needs to be. We go back to the middle of the season when Marcus Smart called the team out. Everyone thought that was wrong. We talked about fans saying, or the naysayers, Tatum and Brown can't figure it out. But coming into this game when there was no Marcus Smart, we said someone else had to step up. Well, Grant Williams was that guy. We didn't know Grant Williams would come out and shoot the 3 the way he shot the 3. Coming out of Tennessee, he was a, 6'4", 5 man. So the fact that he's elevated his game and able to knock down 3-point shots off the draw and kick, very happy for him. And he was that X factor for the Celtics in Game 2.
And defensively, yeah, we talk about defending the 3, but defending Giannis, shooting 38% from the field in this series. Hadn't shot 38% from the field in a game in the postseason in his career. How are they getting this done on Giannis?
Well, people at home, watch the circles. Al Horford, Time Lord, they're sacrificing their bodies. They're contesting the shot. They know how dangerous Giannis is coming downhill. They know how good Drew Holiday is attacking the defense. But you got to give Ime a lot of credit. These guys are really sacrificing, showing their bodies. Grant, like I said, Grant Williams may be 6'5" with stilettos on. We know the Greek freak 6'11", but he's giving up his body. Look at Time Lord. Look at Derek White. All sets of eyes are waiting on him. They're building that wall, and they're not worried about the physicality. Now they get out and run. They run that Celtic fast break. You talk about three-point shots. Well, you're getting wide open shots off a defensive transition.
Yeah, and kudos to the Celtics. They did it without the defensive player of the year,
That's
Marcus
right.
Smart in game 2. But remember, Robert Williams was a person of discussion as being one of the best defensive players in the NBA. So Jaylen Brown, one of the most important players on this team, had 25 in that first half, but just 5 in the second half. And 3D, he was grabbing that hamstring. He says he's good to go for game 3. But is there cause for concern that Jaylen Brown and his hamstring injury?
If he's telling me he's okay, I'm going to believe him. I know most guys that say that they're not going to make excuses at this point in the season. He's playing. They got out to a fast start. Remember, he got to the arena early because he didn't shoot the ball particularly well in game 1. I think he was 5 of 13. So that lets me know he's taking his craft serious. He's going to get the right treatment to make sure the hamstring ready to go. I think he'll play well.
For the Bucks in game 3, how do they come out with the win?
Well, one thing we know about the Deer District, they're going to be ready to play. That place is going to be crazy, and Giannis is going to set the table. But make sure you keep an eye on Drew Holiday. In game 2, off to a slow start, a few uncharacteristic turnovers. He gets back home, gets more comfortable. He plays better basketball.
Yeah, you know a thing or two about being in Milwaukee for
Yes,
a big
I
playoff
do.
game. You were just there for the Bulls and Bucks series. CP3 saved his
Ooh-wee.
best for last. He's
My
been doing
goodness.
that all postseason. We'll check in with the point guard next on Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G. Welcome to Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G. I'm Chris Miles, and that's 3D. He's back in studio, so you know what we say. We're doing it like we're doing it to do it for TV.
Let's do it.
Round 2, Game 3's coming up, but before we get you ready for Friday's action, let's go over some updates from around the league, because a lot of things happening affecting the games. And we start with Gary Payton II will miss a month, that fractured elbow. Only way he returns is if the Warriors make it to the finals. Dillon Brooks was ejected for that flagrant 2 in game 2. He's now been suspended for game 3. So 3D, does that punishment fit the crime? Because essentially he's missing 2 games for that foul.
Yeah, I think most people understand after watching that, you know, it's the wind-up, I think, catches the casual fan by guard, because when you're going to block a shot, it's your natural movement to try to wind your arm up to block it. But we all understand, you have to understand that Gary Payton Jr. is leaving the ground, the way he's falling. So I'm not mad. Some people wanted 2 games. I'll take the 1 game. But big picture for the Warriors, he was the best fit. I know Ja had the 47. Ja's, averaged, 41 and some change in the 2 games. But the way we know Gary Payton II could put pressure on him all game long, and that's his specialty. And he was knocking down enough threes to kind of make himself favorable on the other side of the floor as well. So he's going to be sorely missed if the Warriors make it to the finals.
Absolutely. He was in the starting lineup because of his ability to defend. Also had 10 points in the fourth quarter in that game 1 win.
He was solid.
Very valuable piece. Sad to see him go down. Ben Simmons had back surgery